Before I begin this video, I wanted to kind of talk about someone very special.
So, let me tell you about my buddy Corbin. This guy has the unique talent of getting banned from every gaming website he joins. I mean, if there were a Hall of Fame for getting banned, he'd be the MVP. One time, he got kicked off a site for excessive trash talk. I mean, who knew saying your skills are like a potato could get you banned? Then there was that time he tried to speed run a game while simultaneously live streaming his cat. Apparently, cat cam wasn't a valid excuse for failing to follow the rules. The moderators didn't find it as funny as we did, and let's not forget his infamous accidental hacks. He swears he was just trying to show us a glitch, but somehow he ended up with a permanent ban. Korriban's like a gaming version of a tornado. He just leaves chaos and confusion in his wake. At this point, I'm convinced he's just trying to collect bans like Pokemon cards. Gotta catch 'em all, right?
Alright, in this video, I wanted to talk about really quickly, not get too in depth with it, but just talk about the reversal of the Spellcaster lean affecting healing. And the reason why staff did this is they feel like they want to review healing as a whole, and so they just wanted to go ahead and reverse the previous change to disable spellcaster lean from healing in the interim while they evaluate the entirety of it. So it could still one day uh, potentially go back to not affecting it. But I wanted to kind of show off um, basically how uh, much stronger healing is now. Um, One of the things that this does is the barrier status is a form of healing. So basically, anything spellcaster related that affects a barrier, you get a barrier in, will be stronger. Um, they kind of made the Mirror Vordred spellcaster, the mirror, these armors, basically, they kind of had an idea that they were going to revert this, so that way spellcaster link could affect this particular skill here. Um, but I've just to show off kind of what this looks like now. It's pretty strong, so we're basically get a quick 1100 barrier. That's a decent average. You might see as low as 800. You might see as high as maybe 1500. I'm going to use Arms of the Dragon Guard here. And what's kind of nice about this change for those that are a fan of the reverting of it is this Moontide Bracer basically gives you a barrier after you attack or cast a spell. But I'm going to go ahead and do another barrier, so we're basically at 775 now with because it can crit. This skill can crit, and so now we have a 3600 barrier just like that. It does take a turn, so maybe one might want to use celerity, but uh, in a nutshell, this is pretty strong. So now I just got 500 there, casting a spell, so I have a little bit from the shield and the misc here. And so what's neat about the spellcaster lean barriers is if you're using this warcaster staff, you're basically inflicting panic, and then I was just inflicting panic spell using a panic spell. So basically, I have a barrier, and then the monster's basically screwed at this point with having panic there. So for the pure mage, especially one that's training endurance and luck, it's basically a pathway to invincibility now that you can um, boost your barriers. So I wanted to kind of show off. Let's see here. I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to come over to Necromancer. So, um, oh, another thing is using Gandalfin with this also just received a boost. So I just gave myself a 920 mana shield barrier. So you remember you need to cast this before you inflict any other barriers, or it won't work. And then just simply hopping into Necromancer armor gave me a 667 barrier. And then remember, a Necromancer gets a barrier post spellcast. So I'm going to actually get it from the Misk, the shield, and the armor. So that barrier is going to go from 667 to 1556. So about 900 just by casting a spell with this combination here. And again, casting spells in Warcaster is inflicting panic. So it's basically enhancing your barriers. Again, I don't know if this change will last forever, but at the end of the day, I guess you kind of never know um, how they're going to go. My personal best guess is they're going to find a way to allow Spellcaster Lean to continue to affect spell healing, but I think that they're going to maybe revise assumed hit points. They're going to revise healing down based on monster damage, or they're going to increase monster damage, or a little of both. Because monsters do not do anything based on dexterity unless they attack with a ranged attack. The old model used to have dexterity for accuracy, and now you don't. So it's a wasted stat. So it's just sitting there for doing nothing. I think they're going to find something for dexterity for monsters, and monsters will become more difficult at some point, is going to be my guess. And so um, we'll end up seeing eventually. But keep in mind, Wishweaver weapon exists. So you can cast an Elevon, and then you can change it over to Eat Elevon. So what I'm going to do here, let's see, let's get celerity. Arms of the Dragon Guard, so my barrier is going to increase at 747. I'm going to go ahead and change this to Eat Elevon and give myself a barrier. So I'm giving myself a barrier in this case from the Misk, the shield, the armor, and the weapon. And basically all this is boosted with Spellcaster Lean. So 747 just went to 2667. So basically a 2K barrier right there. So again, this entire change is basically going to make mages more overpowered in terms of healing. I think it's very noticeable. I think, in my opinion, this is more noticeable with them reverting it back and then using it again, especially in use with barriers and not so much healing. We may see some changes to barriers at some point. I mean, at the end of the day, who knows? But I feel like that something's going to need to actually change, because being able to give yourself these massive barriers kind of makes you invincible. And I mean, I'm basically 2600 barrier along with my 6000 hit points. I mean, this monster's not able to do anything to me. And you throw on Warcaster staff, inflicting panic after any spellcast, and getting the barrier at the same time. In my opinion, this build using spellcaster armors, intelligence, endurance, and luck, um, just received a massive, massive, massive buff, especially if you're incorporating all these barrier items. But that's it for this video. Again, they claim this is potentially temporary. It's just to undo the previous change while they review the issue as a whole. They felt like it would be pointless to leave it like that while they reviewed it. And again, it could eventually revert back. I personally think it should. I think that it likely won't, though. I think they're going to find other ways to bring the Rangers and Warriors up for healing instead of reversing course on Spellcaster Lean. That's my personal guess. But I think we're going to also see, as a part of this entire plan, I think we're going to see monsters buffed based on dexterity. They're going to probably come up with some new features, or I think we're going to see maybe uh, healing valuations, or the power of healing come down, instead of altering how Spellcaster Lean works, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, at least for now, it's going to just be overpowered. I think when I say for now, you have to keep in mind that Adventure Quest's concept of time is absurd. For now doesn't mean a couple weeks, a couple months. It could mean a couple years at this point. So, um, anyway, I think a lot of people will probably like this change. I think it's making the game even more trivial than it already is. But I think this build just received a massive, massive buff.